Well, hello and welcome to the Mr. Dogtooth podcast. So my name's Rick and I am a graphic designer by trade, but this podcast is all about my journey into becoming an artist, as they say. I am a creative in my job role. I've always been very heavily biased on the creative side of the brain, which I think is the right-hand side of the brain. It's been a while since I read that. But I am creating this podcast as a kind of journey for me and maybe anyone else who would like to follow along. And it is about taking a non-commercial element of my creativity, so the graphic design being my commercial element, and it is all about drawing. And I thought it would be a useful exercise to basically take people to where I'm going. I don't know where I'm going with this in terms of the whether it can actually be an income replacement or if it will just be for pure pleasure. I have managed to get a tiny little bit of traction with some of the things that I've done, so I just wanted to really push this, one for the benefit of the people that have actually invested in artwork that I've created, and then two because I just want to do it for myself, and anyone else who is in a job or has a skill that is less of what they want to do and they want to do art as a means of living. If I think about the elements within my life, as I'm a creative, so I think out the box. I think quite broadly, so I've got a vast connections of items that I bring to my job into this small pool, but I'm not very good at English and maths and all that kind of thing. Thankfully, there's such thing as computers and spell check and calculators that help me with all the things that I'm poor at, but the things that I think I'm good at are more on the creative side. So this podcast will lead you through some of the elements of, like, I will obviously, because it's about me, I will be talking about me, but actually in some of it, it will be technical things about like which pens I may use, how I go about it. I might even drop in some of the actual doing of the process, and then also as I progress this, maybe in other episodes of the podcast, it might be actually down to things like marketing, how I'm generating income from this and turning it into a livelihood. I think, at this moment in time, I think that there's a possibility that I could turn it into an income. And so I just wanted to basically take you on the journey. I will try and be as open as I can be. To me, if you're any of my friends, they all know that I'm quite open with very many subjects, but especially things like this, like money. So it's not a problem to me to talk about that. So we'll see where we go with this. Obviously, this is podcast 1, so it may or may not be the start of something good, but we will see. But because this is the first podcast, I thought I would just do a run through of some of the projects that I've got on at the moment. So like just any creative person, the best way of getting stuff done is to cycle things. And that means that you don't just do one thing forever, because we are totally rubbish at doing that. Or I certainly am, and quite a few of the creatives I know are as well. But so I just thought I'd show you this little thing, which is just probably peeking out from around the corner. And it is actually a Stormtrooper helmet that I've just started on. So if you've seen anything that I've done before, you will see and know that I am a bit of a Star Wars fan. And I just one day decided that I had this Stormtrooper helmet on my shelf in my studio, and I just took a pen to it. And taking a pen to it was actually really quite satisfying. And so that then led me to do many more. So at the moment, I think I'm on my 8th. This is the 8th one here. I've managed to exchange some of them for money. And so this is a fresh one, a new one that I'm developing. And my aim is to try and get this as part of a group of artworks that I've done in Porsche showrooms. So there you go. If you know anyone at Porsche, this is your invitation to get me involved. So as you can see, I've started by putting the Porsche logo on the top. Yes, I know there is something missing from there, but you'll see later as I develop this where this goes. The how I've created this is to create a paint mask with vinyl. In my studio, I have a vinyl cutter. Put the vinyl on and then fill in all the elements and then remove the vinyl, which is what I do for anything that is very technical and I want it straight and perfect, which obviously the logo is important to get right. Whereas the rest of it is all freehand, freestyle, just going for it. Now, it is very good. For me, is I really enjoy getting lost in the drawing, and I'm really, really keen to get on with this. However, part of the process for me is to actually lay out elements onto the drawing. So this patch here will be a Star Wars element. As we go around the helmet, I will also be placing other icons, maybe a development of the logo, maybe a map, maybe, the Beetle, because that was Ferdinand Porsche's very first vehicle, or most successful vehicle, prior to actually starting Porsche. But then I will go through some of the other Porsche models, and obviously those want to be very, very good. So what I've done to make sure that they look as realistic as possible is I've actually screen grabbed them on my iPad, and then I use my trusty Apple Pencil to put to draw an outline and simplify it down to the least possible amount of strokes I can, because obviously then I'm shrinking it right down to fit onto the helmet. So that's a technique that I've learnt in the past, doing a few other drawings which I've done. So I've actually I've done numerous items since I started that. So here's another one, in fact, right in front of me. So this is a BAC mono. I've had this on my shelf for many years, and just like any artist, you just can't resist graffitiing, defacing something as it goes along. So you'll see there's little elements in here, so like a spaceman and then a pyramid with the all-seeing eye. I like to put in all these little elements, which makes it just a bit more like a Where's Wally. So as you look around all the elements of the hatching, etc., you can find out and discover all these items. And here's another one that I've done. I'll just lean out of shot and grab it off my shelves. And it's a hard hat. So as part of my graphics company, we do install large wall graphics, and this is actually one of 5 of the helmets that we actually use for doing that job when we're working on building sites. As you can see here, I've done a very similar thing. So as you go around it, so there's like a donut and a rocket. Around the back here, we've got like a little palm tree on an island. So if we can see this, on an island with fish underneath it, and various other elements. As you can see, I've got a bit of space there. So I'm doing this as I see fit, as I get bored of the other items that I'm doing. And I've also done a BMX frame, which is still to be built back up. It's all prepped and ready to go. I've done a full-size surfboard, which is 6'6", which I did all with Sharpies, so that's quite detailed. I've done skateboards, I've done Air Jordans, I've done various other prints as well. So like a print like this one. So this is actually just a Stormtrooper graphic, which again I drew. I got an image of the Stormtrooper helmet onto my iPad, drew around it, sorted it all out in Illustrator to make it perfect, printed it out, and then I hand drew all the hatching on it with all the illustrations. There's another one ready to start there. And this is typically the kind of process that I go through to generate the artwork. As I'm doing it, I've quite often got this, which is one of my sketchbooks, open, and it has all the little icons and little sketches that I've done just to remind me what I could put into the scene. So like things like cactuses, headphones, kites, some elements here, and then as I go through, you'll also see like a Star Wars page. So this is specifically for this one. So I quite often do AT-AT on the front of the helmet, which as I'm talking now, I'll try and maybe cut some video in so you can see that happening. Of this helmet that I'm showing you now is actually a helmet that I created for the Gumball 3000, which is a road rally. It's just a special event of about 100 plus supercars that travel through Europe or, well, anywhere in the world. In fact, they've done USA, and next year I believe it's going to be Egypt and then Singapore. So essentially, I got some of my artwork in front of Max, who's the owner, who's also a big fan of art, and I pitched them to be able to maybe do a custom one for the gumball, which is then went up for auction, and someone bid for that and won it. I'm a big fan of art myself. So in my studio, I've got some of the artists that Max from Gumball has on his wall. So like Ben Ein and people like that. I've got Ben Swift up here, and then this one here is Sayat. And then next door in my daughter's room, I've got Tabby, who's another artist, very similar to kind of Banksy style, but he does it's cool, really cool stuff. I have who else have I got? I've got a number of other artists on my wall in the studio, which maybe I'll show in another episode of the podcast. But to me, as a graphic designer, art has always been part of my life. At school, you don't do graphic design, you do art. And so I've always used a pen, always used a pencil. I've just checked some of my school reports, and I was hit and miss with art as well. So certainly early on it said I could do with concentrating more. But as I progressed through school, it actually said that I'd produce some nice work. So then what I actually did was, when computers came around, I got interested in using computers to do artwork, and that led me to do graphic design. After college, after school, I went to college to do graphic design, and then that's been my career until now. So I'm in my late 40s. I've been doing it for 30 odd years, graphics, working on a Mac even longer than that. And I'm very at home with a computer, but the pen has never been far away. And essentially doodling, drawing has always been something that I did no matter what. But I want to make this more of something that I do. If you were to offer me an amount of money and you were to say you can do graphic design or you can do art, you choose, well, it would be the art that I would choose to do. And I nearly always start any designs I do, I always start with a pen. I put it straight onto paper because it's almost like getting the design out of my head, even if it is like a wireframe, even if it's like a really basic piece of text for a logo. I always start with a drawing, and it's just something about the hand-eye coordination thing that seems to unlock something in me. So that's where I've come from, and then where I would like to go is to essentially make this my income going forward for my family, for my a replacement income for my business. And I would like to take you on the journey of doing that. So sometimes it's going to involve the practical elements, as I've said, and other times what I'm going to be doing is talking through the marketing aspect of how I have actually I'm selling my artwork, how I'm building it, how I might be trying to get a foot in the door with people, how I have done unusual creative things to essentially get my artwork somewhere. And I want to be warts and all. I want to show you the hard bits as well as the easy bits. And I may just talk you through some episodes, maybe just really basic stuff, talking you through a process of how I draw. It may be just me drawing. So that's the idea for this podcast. I hope you would like to join me along, come along with me and see where we go with this. If you do know anybody who is at Porsche, just give me a shout. Okay. From Mr. Dogtooth, goodbye.